Welcome tonight. I think me and Dr. Tara talked earlier today, and we really wanted to keep this very low key for those of you guys that know me. I mean, you know that I'm just, pretty tell it how it is. And I think maybe not everybody knows me, and the people that were in Destin kind of heard a little bit about my story and how I got here in general. And so I think we decided that we wanted to share our stories with you and then go through a couple of things, talking, of the questions that we usually hear from our perspective. And then really, we want this to be about you, right? And that's what Tara said. I mean, it's all about you. It is your training. And I know that I get bombarded with questions sometimes on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and sometimes we don't get a chance to really answer everything. And so you're lucky because you have us here and it's all up to you. And so we want to answer any questions that you guys might have, whether it's business related or how we do it, or whether it's product related or anything like that. So, like I said, or Jay said, I'm Dr. Catherine Espana. I'm a pediatrician. I live in Houston, Texas. I'm originally from Venezuela, but I've been here for a long, long time. And I heard about this 3.5 years ago. And honestly, it took me almost an entire year to even look at it. Okay, so that should like give you guys something. When everybody gets a little bit frustrated, I've talked to somebody about this. My friend called me and I had met her. I had dabbled into another direct sales company before. Dabble, that's the word. I don't think I've ever really did it the way I'm just passionate about this. The other thing was fun. To me, it was like my fun job. I got together with some girls and talked about skincare and drank some wine, and why not? But I never really looked at it as a business per se. But I met this girl there and she reached out to me and she said, listen, I heard about this patches in Puerto Rico. She's from Puerto Rico. My mother-in-law is doing really bad and I've heard about this and, it's supposed to do this and this and this. And she did say, she goes, if it really does that, this will be an amazing business. Like this, we've had gold in our hands. And I was like, you know what? It's another one of those MLMs that I swear I would never do, run. There's no way that a sticker is going to have changes in your body. I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. And I never even looked into it. So I think a lot of you guys have had that conversation with someone, whether they are in the medical field or not. Sometimes people don't even know what they're saying no to. They just say no, and you walk away all super frustrated. Oh my God. And you might never really talk to them again. And so I was like, girl, run away. Don't even. So 3 months later, no, actually almost 6 months later, like we kept talking. That other company was kind of going down. And so we were talking, and she says, you know what? I joined the company. I was like, you did what? I was like, thought we were going to do this together. Like, why would you join this company? I mean, it just sounds really science fiction to me. There's no way that this would work. And she said, well, my mother-in-law, I just wanted to try it. She's like, there's something inside my head that says that I wanted to try it. Thank God, because if she didn't, I would have never ever tried this. She said, and I want to try it on my mother-in-law. Worst thing that can happen is I lose $300 because she bought like the core packet. And I still never looked into it. I told her, great, well, you let me know whatever, never looked into it. She never invited me to a presentation. I never listened to anything. I just listened to whatever little things she knew, which she knew nothing really of how this worked. And that's it. And then 3 months later, she calls me. So pretty much almost a whole year went by. 3 months later, she calls me and she's like, hey, my mother-in-law's a different person. She was like, she is walking better. Her knees are not swollen anymore. She's in a good mood. She's not depressed and she's super cheap and she's asking me for more patches. So at that point, first of all, I was on vacation. So I also say that timing, it's a huge thing and you don't know where people are at when you're talking to them. So if she would, and I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if she would have told me this same conversation. Maybe when I was really busy with patients and I was running around, I might have blown her off again. I don't know. It just happened to be that I was on vacation and I had my husband kind of right next to me. And when she called me and he's like, what? And I was like, Jess Nettie's calling me and she's telling me about this thing. She's been talking about it for like a year. And at that point, we had some time and we opened up our laptop and we're like, okay, let's see what this is. And we literally typed in LifeWave, like on Google, like we didn't know anything. We had nothing. And we started watching a bunch of videos, looking at ourselves, and we're like, wow, this looks like it could be. I still don't believe it, but it could be true. And I thought about my mom because every video I saw was about, older people getting better and rejuvenation. And so I was like, maybe this could help my mom and her arthritis. Why not? And then I said the same thing. Worst thing that could happen if I lose 300 bucks if it doesn't work. So I called my friend and I said, okay, fine, sign me up. Let's get this $300 package. I'll get my mom on it. I know she'll try anything that I tell her to do. And then we'll go from there. And still super skeptical. My mom called me and I said, okay, for 3 months, we're going to be, or like for like at least a month, because really we bought the 300 and I gave a month to my husband, a month to my mom, a month for me to see what would happen. And within 2 weeks, my mom said, oh my God, I don't know what this is, but my pain's gone. My inflammation in my hands is gone. Really, what she said was, I'm pumping gas with one hand. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? She was like, you don't understand. Like, I had to use two hands because I just couldn't because of pain and I didn't have the strength. And she's like, and I walked out and I pumped gas with one hand and I was super shocked. She called me from like the gas station. And so I was like, okay, my mom says it's working. I started feeling better. I got more energy, typical. I was sleeping better. My knees weren't hurting, but I was like, I still was like, it's all in my head. It's like, this is placebo. I don't know if this is real. I was waiting for my husband to come home and say something because he is, I mean, if I'm skeptical, he is way worse. If you go to California, you'll meet him because he's coming with me. And every day he come home, I'd be like, what do you feel? And he'll be like, nothing. What do you feel? He'd be like, nothing. Every day. I mean, I felt like a little girl on Christmas, right? Like I was asking. And he would put it on because he's like, I didn't want to fight with you. Like, whatever. Like, I knew the sticker wasn't going to do anything, but I didn't want to like fight with you. And then I went away Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to a soccer tournament with my kids. And of course, if I didn't put it on him, he didn't do it. And when I came back on Monday, I was like, hey, here's your sticker, put it on. He's like, okay. And that Monday night, he came home and he was like, oh my God, those things work. And I was like, really? What happened? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I didn't wear it for 4 days and I put it on and I felt like someone connected me. He's like, I had three really super hard surgeries today. And normally I'm exhausted, my back hurts. He's like, and I'm not tired. Like, I feel like when I used to be in the OR at the age of 25, he's like, this is really weird, but I mean, it really, this is working. So that was like my first, okay, well, he says it's working. I'm still scared to tell anybody about it. It's our reputation. We're both doctors. What are we going to do? So you start dabbling, and I told one dad of a patient of mine who had a lot like shoulder pain. And then within a month, he's like, oh my God, like I have full range of motion. It doesn't hurt. So I was like, okay, well, I believe it a little bit more. So then I started telling here and there people that I was really close to. So long story short, it took me a year, okay, and 3 to 4 phone calls, because but a year for me to even look at it. So don't give up on people because you don't know, and you don't know where they're at either in life. Two, it took me a while to get started. Like I didn't really like start immediately because I honestly had to believe in the product first. And so it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, be a rock star and run really fast. And so sometimes some people forget about those newbies if they don't really start fast. And if you don't kind of stay on them and, you know, love on them and how you doing, they might not do it ever. I'm sort of an odd person that I don't need any motivation. I really did it all on my own. I really didn't, because after that, my upline didn't really do a whole lot. So I really kind of went with it, which is what you should do. You should never really just rely on your upline, but we all know that not everybody does that. So if you bring someone in that's kind of like dabbling into it, don't forget about them. You don't have to be there every day, but don't forget about them because you don't know. Maybe they're just trying to convince themselves that this is for real. And so I kind of wanted to tell them the story. Now I can tell you 1,000%, it doesn't matter. And that is the number one thing that you need to get to people is to have people believe, to have people share it with people around them and not just themselves. Because when that happens, you're not going to break that belief. Like it doesn't matter. I've had people tell me that I'm a quack, that I'm whatever. I can't believe it. You're a doctor. Why are you doing this? How many of my friends' doctors use this? Like, tell me, I'm seeing people that have their cameras on. Thank you so much with fingers. How many friends do you think they use this? My friends' doctors. I don't see any numbers. Two. Lucia says two. Zero. Zero. Okay. Best friends. They look at me and they're like, oh, yeah, you and Jonathan. It's been 2.5 years. And I still have yet to convince any of my super good friends to even try it, to even use it. Fine. It's not for them. Next. But I lost my train of thought what I was going to say with that. Was that don't forget about those people. You know what I mean? Don't just kind of let them be. Oh, that I did it on my own. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So that is my story. And so I wanted to share that with you guys before we kind of answer some questions, because I think that that is one main question we get asked all the time is how did you get in? How do I get my doctor or my friend or whatever in? And so we wanted to start there. And I know that I wanted Tara to tell us, which I know it's a little similar, her story, and then we will open it up to all kinds of questions.
Thank you, Dr. Catherine. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dr. Tara Fleming. I live up in the tundra of Minnesota. Actually, we went boating this last weekend and it was 88 degrees. I have never been in the lake in the beginning of June because, ice melts here and it takes a long time for it to get warm up. But it's not so tundra here in the summertime. But my story, there's similarities and then there's some differences as well, which I'll share. I'm a chiropractor of 36 years. I grew up in a holistic family. So for me, like I heard Dr. Catherine talk about how people would, oh, you're just a quack, you're doing that. Like people expect me to be a quack. They expect me to be holistic, right? And that's the unfortunate thing for Dr. Catherine being in the medical world. I am in the holistic world, so people expect it from me. And I've been called a quack pretty much all my entire career, so it doesn't bother me. Got a pretty thick skin. But my father's a chiropractor. My uncle was a chiropractor. I have a couple of cousins, and I'm hoping that my youngest son is going to follow in my footsteps. And I'd done one network marketing company in my lifetime. I don't normally do them. Most of us get hit up on them. We have a patient at least once a week, like you got to look at this, you've got to look at that. And I believe in network marketing, right? I love passive income. I brought my kids up not on Monopoly, but cash flow game, right? About passive income. That's what I wanted my kids to learn. And so I was never against them, but I knew it had to be the right product with the right timing and the right leadership. Well, I found out leadership. So I did join one. It was an anti-aging skincare, one product, amazing, all natural, and it worked. And I thought, what woman does not want to look younger, will pay through the nose for it? They literally will. So I did. And that was my first step into network marketing. And I loved it. And I grew in the company. But then what happened was, most of them have a great product. Then they hire somebody that they partner with to go ahead and promote it. And as we know, 2 to 4 years later, they usually go under. And that's what happened. And so a lot of us have a bad taste in our mouth as well because of that. And so when my friend, I've known her for over 30 years, I actually worked with her husband way back in the 90s. He's a chiropractor as well. And she approached me on it, and I just kind of went, yeah, okay. And so I think at one point she did send me Dr. Tony Smith. He's a chiropractor, high up in the company. Terry, you got to look at this. And I ignored her. And so very much like Dr. Catherine, it took me 7 months. And I don't know if it was just to get her off my back. I can't remember. I finally said, fine, but I want to get on with somebody higher up because I have a lot of science questions. Because as doctors, we have a lot of accountability and responsibility, and people look up to us. So we can't just put our name behind anything. And so she got Sarah Robinson on, and we all know Sarah. And Sarah, I think an hour later, and she talks about this, I pretty much, interrogated her. And by the end of that, though, I think the one that really got me was when she showed me brain topography mapping study, because my father had been diagnosed with dementia about 3 years prior and he was declining rapidly, forgetting where he was going, wouldn't go to his Bible studies because he couldn't have conversations anymore. And so when I saw that brain topography map, you can't fudge that kind of data. And with all the science that I saw, stem cells, I was excited. And so I literally at that point I signed on as a premium. I said, this is it. This is everything I've ever looked for. Great leadership, great product, great timing. And nobody can copy it. So I jumped in and I literally signed up 7 people my first week, made $850. I was pumped. And so what I did is I automatically, of course, implemented it into my practice and was sharing it with my patients and getting them on it immediately and sharing it with friends and stuff like that. But I think what was really cool is Barb gave me a 1 month supply. I didn't even have any patches, but she gave me a 1 month supply to give to my dad right away. Within 5 days, now remember he's got dementia, so I'm calling him like, Dad, you're putting it on, right? Yep, putting it on. Day 5, count me in, I'll pay for it because I always pay for all the things I want him to try. And I said, why? What's going on? Now, understand at that time he was 88. He says, my chronic left shoulder and arm pain's gone. I went, dang, right? So this also leads into, I want you guys to understand this. The more people you patch, so a lot of people get in and they're like, well, I'm going to try it. And that's okay, right? Everybody's got to get in where they fit in. But for me, I knew the more people I patched, the more testimonies I was going to get, the more excited I was to be able to, I could share these testimonies and the more people I could patch. So I always tell people that because my dad was my first testimony. I hadn't even started wearing the patches yet. And I didn't get my testimony for at least 2 to 4 weeks in. And so uh, as of today, he's here with me. He's 91 and a half. And I would say that within the first about 4 to 6 months, his dementia reversed by about 75%. It was significant enough that my brother, and some of you may have seen his testimony, my brother said, I'll try it. And I'm going to tell you something. He's my older brother. I may be a doctor, but I'm his little sister. And he doesn't take anything I say seriously. But when he saw what happened with my dad, he tried it. And he too has had the most amazing results with his low back. But this weekend or yesterday, we're cleaning out my dad's house. We did put him in assisted living because his wife died and he needs 3 meals a day and he needs some help. He's 91. And so we were cleaning out the house. We're getting ready for an estate sale. We've worked like 8 to 10 hours, probably 8 hours. And he said, I am so glad I have this patch because he knew even though he was tired today, he wouldn't be sore tomorrow. And so, I mean, for my brother to say that, that was huge, 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 huge. So that's kind of my story. I think at this point, everybody wants to know, they want to spend a little bit of time with doctors, like, how do we get a doctor? How do we get a chiropractor? And I do want to say this, like, don't put your eggs in that basket. There's very few. Every chiropractor that I did sign up, which by the way took forever, are not doing anything in the business. So we're not my best one. I have a hairdresser, I've got an interior designer, and I've got a what is he? He does laser therapy salesman. Those are my top people, not doctors. So yeah, and you need to have a doctor that really has an entrepreneurial mindset as well. And they're few and far between. I'll just put it that way. So that's my story. And I think at this point we'll just open it up for questions. You can either unmute or put it in the chat and say, hey, raise your hand, whatever it is, we'll call on you and fire away.
No
Don't
way nobody has any questions.
don't everybody
I've done this because we have to stop right at 7 because Jay will get mad at us. So don't worry about being first because then I know that the questions will keep going. It always happens. Really?
questions.
No way.
Come on, there's 43 people on here. I can't
Okay,
understand that.
Mireya, do you want to unmute yourself? ¿Te quitas el mute o lo pones en el chat? Let me see.
Hola,
Hola.
¿cómo estás, mi querida
Hi, how
Catherine?
are you, my dear Catherine? Hi, good evening, everyone.
Bueno, yo quiero hacer una
Well, I
pregunta. Yo
want to
tengo
ask a
en la
question.
empresa
I've been
utilizando
in the
los
company
Sorry,
and
2 seconds.
using the.
I'm not sure because you guys in English probably are not don't have the translator, so I'll translate her question in just a second, okay? So you guys can hear the question. Okay, sigue, dale. Cuéntame.
Gracias.
Oh, sure.
Tengo un año y medio
I've been for a
usando
year and a
tecnología
half
y un año y
using
medio
the
haciendo mi
technology and a
negocio.
year and a half working
Y
the
cuando yo
business.
entré, la verdad es
And
que
when
a mí
I
me empezó a
started,
ayudar
when
y
after
empezó a hacer
4 days,
efecto
I had
impresionante
an
para la
amazing
menopausia y para
effect
la
for my
fibromialgia.
menopause and my
¿A qué me refiero? Me
fibromyalgia. What do I
quitó
refer
los
to?
dolores,
It took
me
away
ayudó a
my
dormir
pain. It helped me
calmadamente,
sleep
me
amazingly.
cambió el estado de
It
ánimo,
changed
la
my
parte de la
state
vitalidad
of
mental,
mental
muchísima
clarity, my
energía.
mood. I
Es
had a
decir,
lot of
todo lo
energy.
que yo
So
tenía
everything that I had
del otro, hacia el otro lado
on
me lo
the
corrigió de una
wrong
manera
side
que
was
fue
corrected in a
nada
way
lo
that
había logrado.
amazed me. Nothing had ever
Y
achieved
así
that.
estuve como
So
por
that's
ocho o
how
nueve
I
meses,
was
muy bien.
during
Y de
8 to 9 months,
repente, a
feeling
los
amazing. And
8 o 9 meses,
suddenly, after eight
vino
or
como un
nine months,
desorden en
there
el
was
que
like a
me
downfall
dejó de hacer
in
efecto o algo
which I
pasó, que es
stopped
lo que yo a veces
feeling the
quisiera
effect, or
entender
something
qué
happened, which is what I
sucedió.
would like to
Y
understand
yo
sometimes.
no
What
he
was it that
vuelto a
happened?
sentir
And I
todos
haven't
los
been able to
maravillosos
feel
beneficios
all the
que ya
amazing
sentía.
benefits that I
Entonces,
felt
yo veo muchos
previously.
testimonios y creo
So I see a
muchísimo en
lot
la
of
tecnología.
testimonials and I believe
Sin embargo, yo a
amazingly in
veces
the
quisiera
technology.
saber qué es lo que
Nevertheless,
pudiera haber
sometimes I
estado
would like to
pasando o lo
know
que podría
what could
estar
have been
pasando en mi
happening
cuerpo,
or
por lo
what
que
could be
ahora
happening in my
ya no
body
siento esos
that I
beneficios y de
don't feel
nueva
those
nos
benefits
regresaron
anymore
todos
and
los
all
síntomas que
the
tenía, me
symptoms that I
regresaron.
used to have are back.
All right, so really short version, she says she's been using the patches for like a year and a half, and like within a short amount of time, she got more energy, better sleep, less pain, and everything was doing amazing. But she feels that after a while, some of those symptoms are coming back, and she doesn't know why. She feels like maybe the patches aren't working as well anymore. So she wants to understand why. So, my answer to you, y te lo voy a decir en inglés para que ellos entiendan, ¿ok? Pero te están traduciendo, ¿verdad? Okay. Sorry, I'm just saying I'm going to answer in English so all of you guys can hear, but I know they're translating for her. I don't know, number one. I mean, I wish I would know 100%, but honestly, I mean, people that know me know that I'm straightforward. Okay, so I can't say that I know exactly the reason why. One thing that could be happening, I'm going to ask her is sometimes it is true, this attenuation that your body kind of gets used to it. If you're using it for too long period of time, like if you're not giving your body time enough to rest between. And so like sometimes I've had a lot of people that wear the X39 for 24 hours on all the time. That can be one reason. Okay. If you are not doing that and you really are allowing yourself to rest, then sometimes I say really like rest like a day in between or even take a couple of days without it because it could be that your body is, kind of used to it. I tell people it's kind of like if I go like this to you, you're going to feel it. If I keep doing this for 30 minutes, like it doesn't bother you anymore. You don't feel it because your body just sort of gets used to it and kind of ignores it. And so it could be that for whatever reason, that could happen. Another reason, and I have noticed this, and I would recommend that you try using Celergize and that you look at your diet and your hydration because sometimes it makes sense to me. That's the reason why Celergize was created. And I don't know where you live. I do know that unfortunately Mexico doesn't have Celergize, but it has the amino acids that you need. And nowadays in our diet, I think a lot of people might not have what they need to actually create that peptide. So if you don't have the G, the H, and the K, there are three amino acids, or the copper, that you're not going to be able to make that peptide for it to work. And so that can be another reason too. And lastly, I mean, although you're saying you're feeling the things, but sometimes, I mean, you're feeling that it's not helping you, but sometimes we get used to something and in our mind, we think that it needs to be kind of better and we sort of get used to our new normal. And so I do tell people don't wear them for a week and then wear them again. And sometimes you were like, oh, wow, okay. And then things kind of start working a little bit better. That is kind of my what I would say. But I've been doing it for 2.5 years. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like I never have pain and I feel amazing. And this is no. I mean, we're human and things go up and down and it depends on what happens. Sometimes I still wake up and maybe my knee hurts a little. But I think sometimes we think that maybe it shouldn't hurt at all. But when I go back maybe and think about how my knees hurt really bad 2 years ago, I'm much better than I was 2 years ago. But maybe I'm not perfect 100%. I might still have some knee pain every now and then. So expectations, I think, have a lot to do it too. So my recommendation is make sure you're hydrating well, make sure maybe your drinks allergize, and then don't wear them for like a week or 2 weeks, like, and then do it again. And a lot of times you notice. Do you have anything else to say, Tara?
No, I think you covered it really well. You really
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it goes back to too, like, um, how long have the symptoms been back, right? Because somebody mentioned retracing. And so you could be having a little bit of that kind of thing, like a healing crisis happening. I remember Sarah telling me a year on the patch, she started having horrible foot pain and she couldn't figure it out. It was like a month. And then a doctor explained to her about this healing crisis kind of thing, and then it went away. So there was another thing healing. We don't control what's healing what and when. And that's the problem with that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm like you. Sometimes I don't know. We can only explain what we know and then try and apply it.
Right.
I think there was a
Absolutely.
doctor.
Yeah, Samira, Dr. Samira is one of my people.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Quería simplemente
I wanted to simply
apoyarlo, ¿no? Con la pregunta
share
que
something
había
with
hecho
a
la chica
question
anterior.
that the
Bueno,
previous
primero yo soy
lady asked.
ginecóloga, soy
First of all, I'm Samira
ginecóloga.
Itrago. I'm
Okay,
an
she's a
OBGYN.
gynecologist. Sorry, I'm going to be translating so I don't forget. So she's a gynecologist. She works with me. She's one of these little oddballs that I was able to get. Dale.
Estoy usando esta
I'm
tecnología
using this
hace año
technology
y medio,
since a
gracias a
year
la
and a
doctora
half
Catherine.
ago, thanks to
Cuando yo
Dr.
me empecé a
Catherine.
utilizar era porque
When she
realmente
started
tenía un
to use
dolor
it, it was because
en mi
she
hombro
truly,
derecho
I truly had pain on
y
my right
tenía
shoulder.
varios meses, cinco,
And
cuatro
I had
meses
been
con
for a
la
few months,
molestia
five,
al
four
día
months
y
with
inicié
that pain.
terapia en
I
esa
was going to
semana
start therapy
y
during
cuando
that
comencé a
week,
utilizar el
and when I
parche,
started
el
using the
quinto día mi
patch,
dolor
on the fifth
desapareció.
day, my pain disappeared.
Estoy utilizándolo
And
por mucho
I've been
tiempo con
using the patch for a long
utilizarlo en
time.
mi
I started
familia.
using it with my
He visto cambios
family,
grandiosos,
and
pero quería acotar
I
algo con
did
respecto
see
al
big
caso
changes,
de
but
la
I
chica
wanted to
anterior
share
que me
something
hablaba
about
de
the
que habían
previous person who
síntomas
spoke because she said that there were
mejorados
symptoms
y eran
that
síntomas
improved,
precisos de la
and
menopausia.
it was symptoms that have to do with
Pienso que el
menopause.
dispositivo lo que
So
resuelve
I
es
think that the
reversivo,
device,
que no
we
trata
always
ninguna
say
enfermedad,
that it doesn't
sino más
treat
bien
any
diagnostica
illness,
una
it doesn't
enfermedad.
diagnose
Y
any
es
illness,
importante
and it is
individualizar
important
cada
to
caso de tratarlo, ¿no?
personalize
Tratar un
each
paciente con
case when we're
síntomas de
going to treat
menopausia.
a
Entonces,
patient with
ella debe
menopause
evaluar
symptoms. So she
qué es
needs
lo
to
que está
assess
sucediendo
what it
para ver
is that
si
is
es
happening
necesario
to her.
complementar
Sometimes it's
con otros
necessary to
tratamientos,
complement with other treatments
mejorar, porque acuérdense que
and
esto no es
improve
magia, el
it because
dispositivo no es
remember, this is
magia.
not
Hay
magic. The
cambios que
device
están
is
ocurriendo
not
en nuestro
magic.
cuerpo, sobre
There
todo
are
en esta
changes going
etapa,
on in our body,
y pues hay que
especially in this stage of our
individualizarlo si es
lives, and we
necesario
need
por el
to
caso de
personalize
tratamiento
it
con terapia de
correctly.
reemplazo
If it's
hormonal,
necessary
si
to
hay que
use
mejorar la
hormone replacement
alimentación, si hay
therapy, if
que
we need to improve
cambiar
our
hábitos, entonces muchas
habits of
cosas
eating or other
están
kinds of
sucediendo en
habits.
este
So many
caso
things could be happening
y
in this
el
case,
dispositivo
and the
simplemente es un
device
complemento muy
simply is a
guiado de
complement. It's an
bienestar para
ally
nuestro
of
cuerpo.
well-being for our
Eso
body.
simplemente quería
That's
decir.
simply what I wanted to share.
Gracias, gracias.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
really good.
So
That's really
I
good.
think
I
people
think,
were listening to interpretation, but I can say it really quick. Essentially,
oh
she said
yeah, yeah,
individualize. You got it? People got it? You
I
heard
got
it.
it. Yeah,
Perfect.
I love
I
that. I love
have to
that.
redo it. Perfect.
There was
Yes, I
a,
agree with her 100% because this is not magic. And I think it's part of what I said earlier too, that you have to make sure. And so when I hear, and we all know, we all have a testimony of the person that in 2 hours, they're amazing. And in one day, oh my God, you cured their cancer. You know what I mean? Or I'm exaggerating, but we all have those testimonies that are like hard to believe. And we know that they're true because we saw them. Yet I tend to not share those as much, to be honest with you. I tend to because I rather under promise and over deliver because people's expectations nowadays are they want things to happen now. And if it doesn't happen now, then they're like, what, whatever. And so we also have to, like Dr. Samita said, make sure that we're all individuals. And yes, those are a lot of menopause symptoms. And so maybe something else is going on. So this is going to be an ally and this is going to help us, but this is not going to cure menopause. You know what I mean? It helps a lot of people with a lot of symptoms, but sometimes some people might need a little help too. So make sure you continue talking to your doctor and things like that. But yeah, I glad that you said that.
so I wanted to get to, there's a question in the chat that was posted about what do I say or what do you say as well to people when we call them? And I think it's important for me, like if it's a friend that I haven't talked to in a while, and I just did this recently, don't come right out of the bat talking about LifeWave. Like you want to say, hey, I've got something I really want to share with you, but I want to catch up with you. So spend that time catching up, and you're going to get your moment. Like they're going to say, what's going on with you? Right? Talk about them first, and then when they're like, what's going on with you? What anything new? Yeah, man, I've been doing chiropractic. I just got my animal chiropractic certification. I'm running for city council again. And then, oh my gosh, I got involved with the most amazing technology that I want to share with you. And they might say at that point, well, what is it? Well, what I do is I mean, I keep it simple in the beginning, right? I just say, hey, it's a technology that when you wear it, it's like a little quarter-sized patch, but when you wear it, it's elevating a copper peptide that after 90 days starts to regenerate your dormant stem cells. And then I went, Teresa, how old are you now? Oh, well, I'm 62. I said, Teresa, by 60, you only have 10% of your stem cells working in your body. And so I try and keep it a little uh, short. And I'm like, hey, I'll send you some information. And that's where you got to, utilize your tools. I'm really lurking. I'm an educator, right? I'm a doctor. So I used to just blah, 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 blah. So I'm really working back and just like using my tools, sending my 12-minute video, sending a website, whatever it is. And so that's kind of what I do it with somebody that I know and I haven't talked to in a while. But don't come right out of the gate, right?
Right. Yeah, I do. I mean, I like that you said I called you because I want to share something with you because I don't hide it. Because if you hide it, people can smell it a mile long and it's like you're calling them to sell them something. So I'm calling you because I want to share something with you, but we haven't talked in a while, so let's catch up first. And I agree with you because that way they know that you care about them and you're not just calling to make a sale. All right, we have like 7 minutes. Jane Miller had her hand raised.
Hi, Jane. She's in my line.
Jane.
Good evening. Say, with both of you being in the medical field and having patients and clients coming in, how young of people do you find this effective since their stem cells work? Is it more for those with some kind of an issue on the spectrum or something where it can maybe rebalance them? But how young do you feel you can even tell this to their parents to start them on that? How young can you go?
Okay. So I am the person that says that this is not meant for every single kid to wear. And so for me, I'm a pediatrician, obviously, I see kids. And so if a child has some sort of an issue, okay, first of all, this is not made for kids. Okay, so this is not, the company says in there it's not for children. We're not to be compliant. We're not allowed to publicly say, put this on your child. Don't put this on social media. Please, please, please stay compliant. I know we're recording this and I'm just telling you this. If you now anecdotally, and you can say that anecdotally, I have seen some changes specifically on children that have some sort of problem, neurological problem, immunological problem. I mean, eczema is an immunological problem. So, your immune system's acting up. We have a 3-year-old, that's on it who has, a really bad disease that her skin just like bubbles up and peels off. And it's unreal within like a month and a half to 2 months, her skin start healing because it's a thing that her skin, her body doesn't make this particular collagen. So her skin just kind of sloughs off. I have a 19-month-old who has cerebral palsy, and her mom has been seeing some changes here and there. So no, I don't bring it out with super young kids immediately. Definitely kids on the spectrum, definitely kids that have some sort of neurological, immunological disorder, or athletes. So kid and athletes obviously are not going to be 3 to 4 year olds. They're going to be like teenagers, right? So, they're older kids. But yes, I mean, I started with my kids because both of my kids are, high athlete soccer players and they wouldn't believe me. And then my son came home one day, he's like, oh my God, Josh on my team is wearing your little patches. And I was like, you see, like I'm not the only one. And so they won't listen to me, but his friend was. And so if any of them you can tell their parents, it's going to help them with injuries, it's going to help them recover faster, it's going to help them have more energy, and to stop drinking those awful energy drinks that they all drink before a game. My daughter would take that like 5 hour whatever shot before every single game. And that's like the worst thing you can do. And so if you talk about it as like you're replacing that, do not drink that energy drink, you can put this on, then for athletes that too. But again, it's very important that you put out there, this is not marketed for children. You know, I tell people that I go, they don't have any studies on children whatsoever. So it's really up to the parent. Yet I believe it's not going to do any harm because there's no medicine in it, but there's no studies or nothing. And so I make sure that people know that. So we stay compliant and we don't get in trouble.
Well, and the other thing that I always add to people too, 100% everything she said, and she's a pediatrician, so I will defer to her. But what I always tell people too is that people question, well, what about this? What about this? Well, they already have this copper peptide in them. And your body's not going to elevate it through photolight therapy more than what your body should have. And so it can't harm them, right? And so we're not introducing anything foreign into their body.
Right.
But there's not really a purpose for it at that point.
You mentioned, why does it work? Because they have stem cells. And that's the first thing that I said too. So when I first started using this, all I heard was rejuvenation of cells. I heard older people. I heard people that were aging. You know, that's all I heard. I thought about my mom. I didn't even think about me. I'm like, I'm fine. I don't have anything really wrong with me. But then I started looking into it because I started getting lots of videos, and I didn't believe any of the videos because I don't believe in TikTok or Instagram. I now believe 100% because I've seen it with my own eyes with all these kids. But back then I was like, why would this work? I said the same thing as you. I was like, they have healthy stem cells. They don't need to be rejuvenated. They're only 7, 8, 9, 10. Because it's not just that, because the copper peptide helps. A lot of this is inflammation. And a lot of this is intoxication. So some of these kids, especially the kids in the spectrum, have a lot of toxicity because their body cannot get rid of that. So when you have a high level of stress, a lot of toxicity, and you detoxify, you first of all, you need to make sure they're eating a good healthy diet and they're not at McDonald's every day or, you know, very inflammatory stuff. But when you help them with that, and then you add this as help, like Dr. Samir said, this is just another tool to help, then that's when you notice a difference. So for kids, it has nothing to do with rejuvenation. It has to do with just inflammation, intoxication, and just keeping healthy body and really reconnecting things that need to be connected.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we got about a couple more minutes. Anyone have another question? I'm surprised to how like quiet we've been today.
I know.
First time ever that I've done something like this that I haven't gotten bombarded.
Okay, I have a question.
David, go.
Huh?
Go, Shannon, real quick.
Okay, thanks.
And then we'll do Arlene.
Okay, when you talk to somebody and they're like, hey, I'm interested in those patches that you sell, and you go talk to them, and then you follow up and they say, oh, yeah, actually, my friend John sells them too. So thank you so much for the information. You just leave it, you just walk away?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
I do. Very
Very cool.
ethically. I said, make sure that you talk to John and you start using him. If you have any questions, let me know. Or if you want to work with me, let me know. But absolutely, I do.
Okay.
Arlene?
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. The question I have is, so when you're sharing with somebody, how do you actually give them the options to buy?
So I'll tell you, my spiel is, people say, how do I buy it? I mean, my spiel is whatever Jay says all the time. I mean, literally, that's my spiel is, you know what? You can buy it retail for $150, but really nobody does that because that's really expensive. And we have a couple of options as a customer. So if you only want to use the product, we have a PC program where you can get them cheaper, and we have a VIP program where you can pay $25 like an Amazon Prime, and they'll give you up to $300 worth of free patches, samples of all the support patches. But if you feel like you want to share this with others, then we have these packages that you can join, like me as a distributor, if you want to share with others. I do not push people to be a distributor. If people say, no, I just want to try it, it's to your benefit, especially with this new comp plan, to have clients, to have PC customers. You can always switch them to be a distributor. So if they tell me, absolutely, if it works for me, I will show it the whole world. I'll be like, great, then you should try one of these packages. But if they're like, I don't know, I really just want to use it, I don't know anything, then you need to be a customer. I mean, and I don't push people for a distributor because then you're going to end up with dead distributors. I'd much rather have happy customers than like a dead distributor, because you make more money on the customers than you do about a dead distributor.
That's good advice. No, because I had advice from a high up person that said, I don't even know how to sign up a customer. I only sell kits.
Right, no. That's what I was told too, and I thought
That's
it
old
made no
school,
sense
too.
to me.
Yes, it is.
And I
When we
know
first
Tara
got
feels the
in,
same way.
when we first got in, that's all we did were brand partners.
Yeah, no.
And we didn't have a really great customer program like we do now, but because of FTC, we have to start doing customers.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. That really makes a lot of sense to me, so I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, we got to go. We're a minute over. We'll do
Yes,
it again. We'll do it again.
absolutely. Thank you for logging in. We'll do it again. Yeah, you guys know where to find me if you have any questions. Have a good night.
Bye.